Hi learners, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's class, we're going to learn about percentage. But before we dive into the topic properly, let me quickly share with you what we're going to be learning in today's class. So in today's class, I'm going to teach you the concept of percentage. You're going to learn about the application of percentage to real life activities. You're going to learn how to convert from fraction to percentage and from percentage to fraction. You're going to learn how to convert from fraction to decimal and from decimal to fraction, and you're going to learn how to express quantity as percentage and percentage as quantity. So let's dive into the topic properly. A percentage is a number that can be expressed as fraction of 100, and the word cent simply means a unit of value out of 100, a unit of value out of 100, that is 1 over 100, where the 1 is part and the 100 is whole. So we can represent a percentage using this symbol we have here. We can use this symbol to indicate or denote percentage. Now, let me use this figure to explain the meaning of percentage to you properly. Now, this rectangular figure here consists of a square unit boxes that is up to 100. Now, out of these 100 boxes, we have 12 shaded. 12 out of the 100 boxes is shaded. Now, we can express this as 12 over 100. That is 12, which is part of it is shaded, and the total number of the square unit we have here is 100. So we can express this as 12%, and we can also rewrite this as 12 using percentage symbol. So there are 12 parts out of this 100 square unit that we have here. And in other way, we can also express it as a ratio of 12 out of 100. Now, percentage symbol is denoted with this sign and is used as an easy way to write a fraction with a common denominator of 100. So instead of writing 12 out of 100, we can simply say 12%. So percent is a rate per 100. I need you to take note of this, that percentage are dimensionless. That is, they do not have units of measurement. Instead, percentage relating to specific unit of measurement must always be expressed in corresponding units. That is, if you are talking about percentage of money, you have to use the unit of money. If you are talking about the percentage of volume or capacity, you have to use the unit of the capacity. And if you're talking about the percentage of people in the class or in the country, you have to use the unit of measurement that has to do with what? Population, to indicate the percentage of people living in a particular place. Percent can be expressed in many ways. We can express percent as fraction, that is 12 over 100. We can express it as a ratio, 12 ratio 100. We can express it as decimal, 0.12. Likewise, we can express it using a symbol, 12, and the symbol of percentage. So to find percentage, we are going to be using the following terms often. The first one is percentage. So percentage is a way of expressing number as a fraction of 100. For instance, if we have 25%, this 25% simply means 25 out of 100. And the next one we're going to be using often is base. So the base is the number that the percentage is taken from. In other words, the base is also regarded as the whole. The base is regarded as the what? As the whole, or is the amount of number that represents a whole. For instance, if we have 30% of 50, now 30% of 50, the base here is 50. The base is 50, while the 30% represents your rate. Now let's talk about rate. What is rate? So the rate is the percentage value used in the calculation. The rate is the percentage value used in the calculation. In other words, is the number compared to 100. For instance, if you are given 30% of 50, the 30% represents the rate. The 30% represents the rate. If you are to express it in percentage, you will say 30 over 100. That is 30 parts out of the whole 100. Now let's discuss about the real life applications of percentage. The real life application of percentage, we use percentage in shopping and discount. For instance, if you are giving 20% off on a shirt that costs $50, this simply means that you are saving $10 out of the $50 that you are meant to pay initially. So the amount you are going to pay after the 20% off is going to be $40. That is, when you have 20 over 100 times 50. 20 over 100 times 50, when you reduce this, you're going to be having 10. So if you subtract this 10 from 50, you're going to be having 40. So $40 is the amount you're going to be paying for a shirt that costs $50 after giving you 20% off. The next one is taxes and tips. So calculating sales tax or tipping at restaurants. For instance, adding 15% tip to a bill simply means there is an increase in the amount of money that you are meant to pay initially. For instance, if the amount of money you are meant to pay is 25 naira and there is an addition of 15%, what does this imply? This implies that you're going to be having your percentage times the amount that you are meant to pay. Let's reduce this. 5 year is 3, 5 year is 20, 5 year is 4, 5 year is 5. So we have 3 times 5 over 4, and this is 15 over 4. 15 over 4 will simply give us 3.75. Now, adding this 3.75 to your amount, we assume 25 naira. So adding it to the 25 naira tax that you are meant to pay initially. So in other words, you're going to be paying the sum of 28 naira 75 kobo in total. That is 15% addition of tips to your bill. The next application of percentage is in banking and finance. The next application of percentage is in banking and finance. Now, interest rate on saving or loan always come with an interest depending on the choice of the company based on the interest they want to add to the amount that you want to save. So let's say for instance that if you are saving any amount, 5% is going to be added to your money after 1 year. Let's take for instance, if you are saving 2,500 naira, 2,500 naira, and the bank or the company says they are going to be adding 5% interest to your money per annum. Per annum means every year, and you want to leave your money with them for 2 years. So 2 years is the time. Now we're going to recall our formula to calculate simple interest. And simple interest is going to be equals to principal times rate over 100 times time. Now our principal is the amount you are investing, which is 2,500 naira, times the rate 5 over 100 times the time, 2 years that you are leaving your money with them. So if we reduce this, we're going to be having 25 times 5 times 2, and this will give us 250 naira. That means every two years you're going to be having an addition of 250 naira to your money, that is the money you have initially in the account. So let's add it to this place now. We're going to be having 0.572. So in 2 years you're going to be having 2,750 naira as an additional interest rate to your money. So other application of percentage include exams and grades. We often use percentage in exam and grading of students. Now, determining your score as percentage. Let's say for instance, your examination score is written as 90% percentage and you want to know the exact mark that you score. Just consider the total marks of the exam or test and you say 18 divided by the total marks times 100. If we reduce this, we're going to be having 180 over 2. And if you divide this by 2, you're going to be having 90. So 90% is the percentage of your examination score. Now, we also apply percentage in cooking and recipe. That is scaling recipe up and down using percentage. Is either you are increasing the percentage of the recipe you are using or you are decreasing the percentage of the recipe you are using to cook a particular food. So using 50% of recipe to make a smaller portion, we consider percentage. Now, the next one is fitness and health. We apply percentage in tracking the body fat percent or nutritional values. So a snacks might have 25% of your daily sugar allowance, that is the amount of sugars that a food contains. Likewise, you can also consider the percentage of calories that you need to burn or the calories that are present in your body using percentage. So percentage can be applied in fitness and health. Other area where we apply percentage is population and statistics. So understanding data in news such as the number of babies in the country, the number of unemployment, the number of students in a particular state, we can consider the knowledge of percentage. So let's take for instance, if you have 12,000 people in a state, and out of these 12,000 people, 2% are unemployed. How can we determine the number of people that are unemployed? What we need to do is to say 2 over 100 times the total number of people in the state or country, that is 12,000. So if we reduce this, we're going to be having 240. That is 240 people are unemployed out of 12,000 people. That's how to figure out the number of people that are unemployed using the knowledge of percentage. So we also use the knowledge of percentage in investments and profits. For instance, calculating profit margin and return. Now, let's assume that a businessman invested 20 naira and is making 40% profit on each sale. Let's determine the amount of profits he made on 20 naira. So what we need to do is to say 40 divided by 100 times 20. If we reduce this, we're going to be having 8 naira. That means the businessman is making a profit of 8 naira on 20 naira goods. So we can also use the knowledge of percentage in determining the composition of the air. This chart here is showing the elements or the compounds that makes up the air. So nitrogen is taking the largest percentage out of the elements or the compounds that makes up the air. We also apply our knowledge of percentage in phone or laptop battery percent. So with the knowledge of percentage, we can determine the strength of the battery of our phone or laptop. So these are the application of percentage in our everyday activity. So if you enjoyed this video, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch out for the lesson 2 on changing percentage to fraction and fractions to percentage. See you in the next class. Thank you.